Okay, in our last tutorial we talked about how to get our character to move up, down, left, and right. Let's go ahead and preview that just so we can catch up. And there he goes. But we want to give Bob a little bit of life here. Okay, let's animate him a little bit. So let's go back into our object editor right here. You can double click or you can right click. And let's go ahead and let's add an animation. Okay, we just want Bob to move his eyes. Okay, so there's eyes closed. Alright, and if you preview this, it'll just do it once and then stop. That's because if we have a looping animation, we want to set it to loop. There he goes. It's kind of quick there. Let's half that time a little bit. Okay, let's add some time. Actually, make it a little bit slower. Whoops. Let's try 0.3. I wanted to keep previewing that just to set the time here a little bit. There we go. Let's preview this at 0.3. That's fine. That looks good. 0.15 looks good. Okay. So what happens when we hit apply and we hit preview? Okay, Bob just kind of blinks around. But that would be kind of annoying to just keep watching. So let's actually start building some code here. And here's what we want to do. We want to add an idle and a walking animation. So we're going to call this walking Bob. Okay, and the reason why I start with walking here and then add the object name is because we might have multiple objects that walk. And for here we're going to add another animation. We're going to call this one idle Bob. Okay, and let's just add an idle picture here. And that's just with his eyes open. Alright, and you can keep this exactly the way it is. I like my idle animation to just be the first one. I think it's just easier. So now we have an animation number 0 is idle Bob, where he just stays there, right? And it's not looping because it's just staying with his eyes open. And then we have a looping one for when he walks. So now if we hit apply, it'll default without any code. We didn't write any code yet. It'll default to the idle animation 0. See, there's Bob again, but no animation. So let's give it some parameters finally. Let's go into our main events. And if you don't have a condition already here, let's add a condition. Right, we've got one here already. But if you didn't have one here, right? Okay, let's go ahead and add an event here. So what we want to do is we want to use the keyboard here so that when Bob is moving, meaning we're pressing down on one of those up, down, left, right keys, we want him to animate, to blink his eyes, okay? So we don't want any key pressed because we'll use our keys for other things. What we want to do is specifically for specific keys that are pressed, okay? And release is for when you just tap a key. This is about pressing the key actually. And what we want to do is, when we have the up key pressed, okay, we want to change the animation. So we'll go to Sprite, Animation and Images, change the animation, and for our object, of course, it's Bob that we're changing the animation for. We want to set it equal to the value of 1, okay? And I'll go back in a second so we can see where we get that value again. That value comes from this number here, animation number 0, animation number 1. So we want to change it to the value of 1. So let's give it a preview and see. If we press up, it should change the animation. There it goes. But notice now it just keeps going. Let's go back into our main events here. We want the animation to work for when we press more than just the up key, right? We want the animation to go from when we press left, right, and down as well. So let's add a condition here and go into advanced. And we want the or condition here, right? Because we want it to happen if you press the up key or the right key or the down key or the left key, right? So let's add or. And let's move or up to the top of this area. And we're going to make the up key, we're going to move it into the sub condition section of it. So now we've got the main one here is or, and then underneath we've got the up key is pressed. And we want to just add the other keys here. Keyboard, key pressed up, down. We want to add the keyboard left, and the last one, keyboard right. Okay, now the animation should start when we press any of those keys. So let's press the down key this time. Yep, there it goes. Okay. But we want that animation to stop when he's idle, right? So let's add a new condition here. Make sure this is a separate one from the event up here. We want a new event here. And this time we're going to do advanced again, but this time we need to use and, right? Because it's not a matter of or which one. It's basically if those 4 keys are not pressed. So you'll see what I mean here in a second. Let's click on and, right? And now basically what has to happen is we have to invert or make these opposite, right? If the up key is not pressed and the down key is not pressed and the left key is not pressed and the right key is not pressed, do this. So we can do copy and paste all these. You can copy and paste there are other ways to copy and paste this a little bit easily. I'm just doing it step by step here to keep the pacing of this, and then we just have to knot these, so invert them. Okay, notice it brings up these 2 arrows here. It means you're inverting it. Let's do the same for these. Okay, now if these keys are not pressed, I'm going to copy and paste this and make this animation value equal to 0, right back to our idle one. So let's hit preview and see if we've done this correctly. Okay, there he is, idle. Now I'm pressing up. Now I'm pressing left, down, and right. So now you can change the animation cells to whatever you need them to be, but this is how we can get our characters a little bit more life, okay, through the animation.